There's a better way to travel, and it's only been over the last couple of months that I've come to this realization. I've traveled differently in the past, where I've moved through a land at a certain pace that was a little fast, a bit too fast for me to actually recognize the subtleties that lay within a location of a land and really getting to know it. I've always traveled by bicycle. One thing I'm noticing is a bicycle is a great way to connect the dots between locations, from one place to another, but oftentimes I found myself just passing straight through and not really getting to understand the depth of a land and a place that you can when you often stay for a little longer. And this different type of travel that I'm talking about is slow, immersive travel. It's where you stay at a place for a month, 2 months, or even up to 6 months at a time, when you really get to understand how a place works. Often when we have a tourism traveling mindset, we're spending 5 days to a week at a place and we're trying to see it all at once. That was me. I was wanting to tick everything off the travel itinerary bucket list and see everything. But as I was doing that, I wasn't seeing anything at all. It's a very surface level way of travel that really lacked a lot of depth and meaning. And one thing that I'm realizing since staying in Guangzhou in China for over a month, then Shunda district for over a month, and now I'm in Vietnam and I've been here for almost 1 month now. The intensity of movement and the pace of travel really slows down, and you allow yourself to come to it, and you allow yourself to tune in to the land and actually sync up with the pace of how the locals live. It's really quite a fascinating and beautiful thing, because as I'm sure you know, when you first come to a place, it's quite a challenge to understand how everything operates, the subtleties of how much things cost, and making sure that you get a decent deal on everyday necessities. To just navigating something as simple as catching a train like in China, that was quite a challenge for me. And negotiating the loud boats that are here in Vietnam as well. And right as I say that, I think that's just a perfect example. When you get to slow down and actually be in a land, right? You get to connect with locals just like that. I mean, that's a very brief acknowledgement of existence, and, you know, like, yeah, dude, you're out here, you know, you're really like soaking in this spot right now. Because that's the thing, like, I've been in Vietnam for a bit. I'm able to stay put in a location and really get to live in that one spot for quite some time, and you really get to get in a groove, and you find the places to eat, you find the cafes, you find the place to go grocery shopping, and you understand how it all works. And then the locals get to know you, and like every time I go to the cafe, the guy just puts up one finger as if to say like the same thing as yesterday. And I walk into the cafe, everyone looks at you, and there's an acknowledgement of a familiarity there, like they understand and they know who you are because they've seen you there that many times. And there's a comfort in that. You're somewhere in between being a foreign object and a local. You fit in somehow, even though it's such a foreign land. And this, to me, cultivates this beautiful home sensation that you can take that feeling with you wherever you go. And it's such a beautiful thing. I rode out here about 10k ride from base, and it's just this beautiful view of the ocean. I come here to film videos quite often, and it's just really cool to slow down the pace sometimes and just really soak it in, and you really get to a depth of understanding of a place that you wouldn't get if you were just passing by. But I think there's often a fear of missing out in that dynamic, as you want to try and see it all, But Vietnam isn't going anywhere. China isn't going anywhere. There's also almost an acceptance that you can't see it all as well. And there's beauty in that, in not being able to see and experience all that there is to offer for a place. And instead really appreciating the depth of experience that one cultivates through repetitive, habitual existence. I always thought it would be so mundane, like doing the same thing every day in one location. But it really helps to cultivate a sense of stability and groundedness and sustainability in one's own personal existence. Because sometimes travel can be just so chaotic that you're up in the air and you're up in the wind and you're blowing away and you're blowing around, and it can get just quite overwhelming. So I think finding one location where you can stay for at least a month to really suss out the location and use it as a central hub to then explore from and go on day trips. Like even yesterday I headed out on the scooter and I went to explore out in some nature where I think they filmed the King Kong movies out in the jungles out there. And
oh wow, just found an oasis in here, guys.
Such beautiful scenery to just go out explore, and to think that that is 30-40 k's from where I've been staying and I haven't even been there yet. There's so much to explore even in this one location that it's quite special to just really slow down sometimes and just sit with it. There's just something about travel in general that just shakes things up, and I think it's something that we should do once in a while, every couple of months of our lives, or even try to sustain a travel lifestyle if that's something you're wanting to pursue, where it's much more sustainable in the fact that you're staying at one place for a month, you're moving on to another place. And I'm starting to even think that a couple of months isn't even enough time for a place. It's just enough time to get to make some friends and get to really understand a place. And then you're heading off again, and it's still not quite enough. I think something like 6 months is probably ideal. And I didn't realize that until I stayed at a place for a certain amount of time, because often I would stay at a place for like a week and feel bored of it because I wanted to move on to the next place. Because I had that fear of missing out on seeing more and experiencing more. But there's a joy to it as well. There's a joy of missing out in the sense that you find much more depth in that approach. And it is depthless. You can keep going further and further and experiencing more, even in the same locations. I notice like little subtleties that are different than I didn't experience before, because you're getting to really sit in a place and really observe and notice every little subtlety, and you're soaking all of it in. And this way of travel is incredibly cost effective as well. Once you understand what everything costs, you can find the places that are cheapest, and you can go grocery shopping in bulk, go to the local markets, get inspired by the culture and the cuisine, and understand the depth of flavor that lays within each culture's unique taste in food. And one thing I've been doing lately is being inspired by that, taking back the ingredients that I buy from the local market and making it in the Blend Voyage. Even if I don't have a kitchen and there's not much space to make anything in the places that I stay at, I can just whip that out, make a quick smoothie, or I can boil up some dumplings. I can make a nice warm soup. And all of it's inspired from what's around me, and I think that's awesome. Now, this is something that we're working on here at Zuatani. If you guys are interested, we'll have more information below where you can help support what we're doing here by being early backers of the Blend Voyage for when we launch. There'll be more information below for that. It's really beautiful just to take time and just sit in a place, in a city, spend time there. Just before this morning, I got to go for a little swim around in here and look at all the wildlife that's under the water and really going to the depth. that's the thing, when you visit a place for the first time, there's often an overwhelming bombardment on the senses. And even the most simple things that we take for granted are new. Navigating a new place and understanding its subtleties is quite a challenge, and it often requires quite a lot of patience. I remember for myself in China, I spent over 4 hours trying to book a train ticket. I don't speak Chinese, and I was trying to use the machines they have there to book the ticket and figure out where I was going, and it was just quite a challenge. Luckily enough, some guy came up and he had like a translator device that he helped communicate with me with, and he was able to help me buy the ticket so I can head out to Hong Kong. And there's been many other times on my travels where I've had this struggle, where it's been difficult to integrate into a land. But if we have patience and persistence, which often requires us to stay there for longer than a week to be able to get past this stage, we really start to learn how to navigate a place. And then it's almost like you gain this superpower where you can navigate a foreign land and you feel comfortable in it. It kind of feels like home. There's a familiarity there, as I say about it, as you stay there for a longer amount of time. And instead of stressing about where you're going and where you have to go, navigating a land and the difficulty that comes with that, you actually start to ease into it, and you really just start to be a lot more peaceful in your approach. And even if the roads are chaotic in Vietnam and everything's happening, there's so much stimuli, you can just sit in it, and there's an appreciation for it and a knowing that you have the capabilities of navigating it, and it's all going to be okay.